How's it going, John?
It is going well tonight, Eric. How are you?
Good. Episode 209.
The beginning of the fifth year. Is this the start of the fifth season?
Yes. Start of the virtual fifth season.
Whatever. I don't know. If you look in, in Libsyn, which is what we use to post this stuff, everything's season 1.
Yeah.
I don't know. So, hey. How you doing tonight?
I'm good. There might be noise from upstairs walking around.
I can hear somebody walking upstairs. Sorry.
So lovely wife sings in the Oregon Chorale, and tonight they performed with the Oregon Symphony for the holiday program.
Oh, that is awesome.
And she just got home, but right before we started recording, I get a phone call. I'm locked out. Can you come open the door? Because she got a ride in, so she didn't drive herself.
Uh-huh.
And apparently we have a little keypad on the garage to let yourself in, and she didn't have her house key with her.
Okay.
So the keypad wasn't working.
Keypad no worky.
And she's, hey, you need to come let me in. You haven't started recording yet. Sorry.
It's nice and toasty in December. It's been
This week was Christmas holiday prep week. Dug all the Christmas holiday paraphernalia out of the basement, which includes a fake tree, all the lights, the ornaments, the decorations around the house.
Yep.
And, my boy and I put all the lights up outside, did our annual trip to the hardware store and get another couple boxes of lights just to add to the collection.
Oh, okay. Slowly grow.
Yeah. So we've got, it doesn't grow though, because it seems that every year one or more strand of lights just stops working. We had 4 strands of lights this year that I could not make them turn on at all.
Right.
Checking all the little bulbs and everything. Yeah. So we are prepped for the holidays.
That is fantastic. In
the Wheeler house.
I saw a tweet. I think I saw a tweet this week, and I think it was by Hacks for Pancakes. Who's Dragos? I don't remember.
I think so.
But there was something about trying to plug the lights into the Star Trek ornaments, which I like on our tree. We have maybe not every single Star Trek ornament from the 90s, but most of them, and maybe the early 2000s. But there was a period of time that that was one of the things that my parents would give us every year was whatever the Star Trek ornament was from the Hallmark, that year. And so we've got a bunch of them, and every year or two, my wife's like, "Are we gonna put the Star Trek ornaments on?" I'm like, hell yes. Yes, we are. But it's becoming harder and harder. I think we have fewer and fewer light strands that work to plug them into because not all light strands are the same and have, the replaceable incandescent bulbs like the old ones do. So I have a feeling that they are going to be going the way of tapes soon. And yes, you can have them, but can you play them? It's like a VHS or something. I don't know. And yes, I do have some VHS in the house, and no, I have no way to play them.
Same. It's always been in my head, I should take those to some place that will digitize them for me. And I just never get around to it. And now the places that I always thought would do it, I think I looked at Costco last year for Christmas thinking that's what I'll get for Christmas. They don't do it anymore.
They got rid of all their photo studios.
Yep.
Or photo counters, whatever.
Yeah.
And actually, because that was one of my jobs this past weekend was to do the Christmas card, which I've done at Costco for a long time. And, And I'm always, I should try and like put a reminder to do this like before Thanksgiving instead of, the 1st of December. But you can't pick them up at Costco anymore. I did not, I think
they have to mail them to you.
Yeah. So I did that, and I did every year I do a photo book. Photos of the year, and get 3 copies, one for each of the grandparental units and one for us. I did, those were 2 of my tasks for this weekend, was to get those things ordered. So I did accomplish those missions, but
well done. Need a banner.
It's the smallest.
Mission accomplished.
I know. Yes, that was my reference. It's all good. It's all good. It's the small things.
Yeah.
So, anything else fun this weekend?
I've been racking my brain trying to figure out what have I done in the last week, and I think the weekend did involve a lot of sleep.
That's good.
I hadn't been feeling all that great, I guess, leading into the weekend. So I did a lot of sleeping, a lot of reading / listening to audiobooks. I've discovered I can't listen to audiobooks, but what I can do is in your Kindle app, you can play the audio and it will text highlight. It'll do the book and you can read the book as the audio goes. And I have decided I kind of like that.
Oh, that works.
I have to speed up the audio though. I have to set the audio to 1.5 speed, which makes it a little bit weird. But otherwise, I read too fast, and I'm waiting for the audio to catch up.
I think that would drive me insane. I think that would drive me insane. Okay. I'm telling you. Here's my trick is do something else with your hands. Be doing something with your hands that doesn't require your brain, and then your brain's engaged with the book, but your hands are engaged with whatever it is that you're doing.
I will have to take up crochet again, trying to figure out what I can do while I sit there.
Crocheting is good. Sewing is good. Sure.
I've I have decided that I like sitting, reading my book on my iPad while it tells me what the text is. I've been enjoying that. So I read / listened to the first Wheel of Time.
Try not to judge. He says in an extraordinarily judgmental voice.
And I liked it so much for the first Wheel of Time book. I added, I have all the Wheel of Time books on Kindle, so you can just add the audio for an extra $7. So I added audio to the second book, and I'm 5 chapters into the second book.
Okay.
So far I'm enjoying that.
My boys and I are listening to book 2 at the moment as well. So in fact, the previous hour and a half before I came to sit down at the desk, we were listening to the Great Hunt.
Yes.
So yeah, very good. Very good. And I'm let's see, what did I forget what I was doing when last we spoke. I think I hadn't finished Neil Stephenson's Termination Shock, so I finished that.
And
not his best.
Add that? Okay.
Not his best. It was good. It was. I would actually say it was okay.
Okay.
It was not a Seven Eves or Anathem,
okay.
In my opinion, at least. It was enjoyable, but kind of, I don't know, kind of felt.
Okay. No, that's fair. That helps me prioritize it in Eric's reading list.
Yeah. So I finished that one.
I have a reading list that's way too long.
I'm feeling the pressure at the moment because I've got so much stuff, and they're books for which I really, really enjoy the narrators. Well, I didn't really know so much about the Wheel of Time books, and those are I'm doing with my kids anyway. But I'm listening to Soulbrand, which is a Nick Podell. I forget if Nick Podell is the author or the reader. Or the narrator. But anyway, so that's another set of books that the boys and I have listened to a bunch of them, but I'm really enjoying that. And then I've got another Brandon Sanderson, the Cytonic is next after that. So too much. I need more time. So, but
yeah.
Anyway, it's all good. One thing at a time. So
it is.
Christmas is coming up super fast.
And
super
I'm
fast.
looking very much forward to the Christmas holiday and getting to see both my girls at home again and hanging out with the family. I am very much looking forward to it.
They're coming home.
Yep.
Good.
Next week. So
that is very exciting. That is very exciting. My parents and my brother are going to be up for a little bit. Not next week. It's the week after, the week before Christmas, whichever week that is. So that will be fun.
Mm-hmm.
That will be fun.
All right. Well, ready for my topic.
All right. Hit me.
All right. So this one I thought was cool. How do I air quote? Audio air quote cool.
Air quote AirTags. Sorry.
AirTags. So yeah, this one is a Apple AirTags being used by thieves to track high-end cars to steal. And so this is in the
I did not read
Canada,
this.
Toronto, Canada. And basically what thieves apparently have been doing is they see a vehicle that's parked in the public somewhere that they want to steal at some point. They, I assume, tape an AirTag or put an AirTag, hide an AirTag under the bumper, and then they just track it. And that will allow them to find it. And it's not a significant amount. It's 5 incidents in the last 3 months. So enough worthy of an article. But one of the things that they mention is that it's due to the ubiquity of Apple devices, which is how the AirTags work. It's a lot faster and more accurate to use an AirTag than something like Tile or some of these other Bluetooth tag devices that don't have the capabilities that AirTags does. Because how AirTags work, right? If I put an AirTag in my backpack and I leave my backpack at a friend's house, or let's say I left my backpack at your house, your phone, without your knowledge, would report the location of my backpack.
Right.
You don't have to provide any I approve, anything.
Correct. Now didn't we talk about something, an open source reverse engineering of the AirTag protocol?
I think we did.
Ago.
Yeah, we talked about something like this as well. And so Apple has tried to address some of this capabilities by notifying you on your phone that, hey, your phone has been reporting this AirTag, if it does it a lot, right? It's to try to let you know, hey, your phone's being used. It's what it sounds like it's doing there for like some anti-stalking functions that Apple calls it. But I thought this article was interesting in that for the cost of an AirTag, which aren't cheap, I think they're $30 a piece or $30 for two, they're not cheap. But I guess if you're stealing a Ferrari, that's pretty cheap.
Oh, that's the kind of car.
I don't know. It doesn't say in the article what kind of cars. I'm just assuming that would be a type of vehicle that you might want to steal if you had.
Wow.
If you could, basically throw away. Although they are not throwing those away because they go retrieve the car.
Presumably they retrieve them with the car that they're stealing.
Get their AirTag back. So, anyways, that's what I saw. I don't have any AirTags. I don't have any, to this point, need or want to get an AirTag. Maybe I will in the future, but currently not in the cards for me.
I do not either. However, I'm seriously considering signing up for a similar type of thing, actually for my wife for Christmas, which is Whistle, which is basically an AirTag. Well, it's a GPS based 3G AirTag for your dog on a dog collar. We have one of our dogs that likes to run off and chase after coyotes occasionally. And being able to say she's to the left or to the right would be nice. I'm not sure I'm willing to pay that month, or I guess it's an annual fee yet, but I'm seriously considering it. A buddy of ours, has one, and So
I was going to say this sounds familiar, so that's where I'm remembering it from.
yeah. Oh, I didn't know if you talked to him about that at all. But his dog's gotten out a couple times. He also lives out in the country. His dog's gotten out a couple times and is even more wandery than mine. And so, and he has bears up at his place.
Yeah.
So, like, or at least his neighbor has caught a bear on camera,
right?
On like a trail cam, this past summer. So he's like, anyway. So I'll let you know. I'll keep you posted. But
yeah, well, where you live, an AirTag won't help you because there's no other phones to ping.
Correct.
Your phone is the last thing it will have pinged.
It's a 3G thing. It's a 3G thing that matters. So anyway, we'll see about that.
All right.
Okay. I brought two things tonight. The first is a relatively short article, and there wasn't a ton of information in it, but I still think it is notable.
Mm-hmm.
And that is that General Nakasone, who leads the NSA, wrote, I guess it was in an interview with the New York Times, that Cyber Command, which is the U.S.'s military hacking unit, has, quote, taken offensive action to disrupt cybercriminal groups that have launched ransomware attacks on U.S. companies. Although they, quote, declined to specify what actions the command had taken, but they have been more active and vocal about that they are willing to act and have done some things than I've seen historically. So, the exact quote from Nakasone, well, I guess it's hard to tell which of this is actual quotes or not. It says, Nakasone said last month that the U.S. government had, quote, conducted a surge, end quote, against ransomware operators, including by trying to cut off the hackers' sources of funding. Quote, before, during, and since, with a number of elements of our government, we have taken actions and we have imposed costs, Nakasone told the newspaper. That's an important piece that we should always be mindful of. So we had the follow-up last week about the our evil hacker that was, has been indicted, but that is currently living free. With President Biden had a call this week with Putin, although I have not heard if there's been anything about that. I haven't read about any cooperativeness. But given some of the other things that seem to be going on, aka the kind of the saber rattling around Ukraine, who knows what's going to happen along those lines. But it is, this notion of make it risky, make it, there's many ways that you can, quote, as I said, impose costs. I actually follow a guy, Impose Costs, on Twitter for these criminals. So I'm in general in favor of, the government defending companies that are being taken advantage of by criminal elements. Not entirely in Russia. There was an article today about somebody from Canada being taken into custody. So good on the government. And then my second piece. So this is totally just a government sanctioned cost imposition topic tonight, is about Microsoft seizing 42 domains used by a Chinese cyber espionage group by going to court. So Microsoft has filed, it said lower in the article, something on 24 different lawsuits in the last couple of years that Microsoft has filed to take over domains that are being used by criminal and nation state groups. This particular set, these 42, it says were used by, quote, Chinese cyber espionage group in recent operations that targeted organizations in the U.S. and 28 other countries, tracked by Microsoft as Nickel, but also known as APT-15, Mirage, or Vixen Panda. K3 Chang, I guess that's how you say that.
Okay.
And others. The group has been active since 2012 and has conducted numerous operations against a broad set of targets. So there was a little bit of information. The article we'll link in here is to the article on the record. So another Catalan one. But Microsoft has a post that's linked in here for their digital crimes unit. I think that was what it was, DCU. But they have, let's see, what do they say here? They said that the victims had been hacked using compromised third-party VPN suppliers or stolen credentials obtained from spear phishing campaigns, and that the domains were used in exploitation attempts targeting Microsoft Exchange and SharePoint systems. So that's, I think, primarily how Microsoft detects and gets involved in a lot of these. But also Pulse Secure VPN, which I feel like we also talked about sometime in the last couple of months.
Sounds familiar.
Yep. So the last kind of factoid I pulled out of this one was evidently 5 of the 24 lawsuits that Microsoft has filed in recent years have been against state-sponsored espionage groups. So that's an interesting point. And that Microsoft said it has now seized more than 10,000 malicious websites used by cybercriminals and nearly 600 sites used by nation-state actors. And I didn't say this here. I didn't pull out a quote on this, but it said that, once they got the court order to take possession of the domains, Microsoft sinkholed those basically.
Right.
So they could see the traffic coming to them. And that then acts as a source of other indicators. So who's compromised, who's talking to them, and can help with further research too. So good on them.
Yep.
Good on them.
You got to play all sides of the game in cybersecurity. That was basically your 2 articles were offense and defense. So
very true. Very true. And using every tool at your disposal. And we should not, I guess I think about this a lot. The vast majority of individuals, the vast majority of companies don't have huge staffs of, info security professionals that can help defend them. Like, we have to set up structures to help, protect people and protect consumers and protect businesses. It's not every company that's going to be a multi-billion-dollar. Heck, now we have multi-trillion-dollar companies that have the wherewithal to field vast swaths of staff. What are you going to do about the food truck? Because the food truck's running a whole bunch of gear.
That's right.
Everyone is these days. So anyway, it's good stuff. Yep. All right.
Fun stuff.
Tell me something fun. I need something fun.
So I love a good Apple story, and this is a good Apple story. I think one of my early on something funs was folklore.org. You can go read about kind of the beginnings of Apple and some of the stories from the initial people at Apple. I had never seen this story before, and it is the story of how the graphing calculator, if you have a Mac, you go into utilities, applications utilities, there is an app called Graphing Calculator. This is the backstory to how Graphing Calculator came about. And it's a fabulous story. There was a guy, and it's actually a company now. It's Pacific Tech is the name of the company that has been building this graphing calculator outside Apple as well, but also for Windows and so on. But I don't want to spoil the whole story, but because you got to read all the details, because all the details are great. But basically, he and a friend were working at Apple on a different super secret project that got canceled. And one of the things that he was working on, that this person was working on, was a graphing calculator to show off how cool the PowerPC was, the PowerPC chip. This is 1993, right?
Okay.
And they were a contractor. Project got canceled. He was no longer employed by Apple. But they just kept showing up because their badge still let them in the building. So they just kept showing up every day and continued to work on this graphing calculator because they were kind of passionate about this graphing calculator. And it's a longer story, but eventually, Apple facilities showed up and tried to move people into the empty offices that they were still occupying. And the guy says, hey, we never lied. If they asked us if we worked here, we said no. And, other people would laugh and, ha, and move on. Well, when facilities found out, facilities actually called security, canceled their badges, and told them, you're not supposed to come back. But right about that time as well, a bunch of layoffs occurred at Apple. 20% of Apple's 15,000 employees lost their jobs, which these two guys were already not employed by Apple. They already didn't exist. But that also meant there were plenty of empty offices. So they kept coming to work with their badges, which were canceled, and just tailgated people in through the doors.
This is so insane. This was such an awesome read.
I know. And basically they finished the graphing calculator. They convinced people at Apple to put it on, and they showed it off, and it shipped on 20 million machines, and it's a project that never officially existed. That just sounds so much like an Apple-y thing to me, an early Apple thing. But one of my favorites, and I'm going to ruin the punchline for anyone who hasn't read this, but my favorite part is the very end, because Apple this was 1994, so even back in the day, Apple was very PR conscious. And this guy made a bet with his buddy, hey, do you think we can get on the front page of, in the business section of a newspaper or whatever, the New York Times or whatever it was. And sure enough, himself and another guy talked to the press, bragged about one of the things they had done, got on, an article in the business section of him and his buddy that references the alliance of Apple, IBM, Motorola, this whole PowerPC thing, with a view of him in his front yard and, the Santa Cruz Mountains in the background, I guess. And he still knew a bunch of people at Apple. And apparently one of the Apple public relations people was furious because he had previously asked her, hey, do you want to send somebody for an interview? And she had told him, engineers are not allowed to talk to the press. But, and I'll quote here, it's kind of hard to enforce that. It's hard to enforce that kind of thing with people who can't be fired. I mean, it was positive press for Apple. And the guy said, and our parents were happy because they basically worked for 6 months for free.
Worked their butts off.
Yeah. And the very last line is, we wanted to release, and I'm sure this is a joke, but we wanted to release a Windows version as part of Windows 98, but sadly, Microsoft has effective building security.
Oh, that is hilarious.
The whole story is great. I loved this, top to bottom. You got to read the whole story. So you just kind of got the gist of it, but there's a lot of details that have been left out. So fun story. We'll include that link. It's, and if you have a Mac, you have the graphing calculator, and the genesis of that graphing calculator is it did not exist. Two guys, 6 months, unpaid work, built and shipped this on every Mac.
This is so awesome. I've never actually even launched this.
Oh, yeah, I've launched it occasionally.
I have got it launched right now. This
Fun
is totally
stuff.
Cool. It's totally cool.
Alrighty.
Right. No, that was awesome.
All
Not that anybody listening to this knows, but it took us an extra 15 minutes to start recording because I was reading that article. And I was laughing and sorry for making you wait. Yeah. But it was totally worth it.
It was a fun article.
I'm sorry to have wasted your time, but it was awesome. Okay.
All right. See, now the difference though is I saw this article, but I have not read it yet. So,
well,
I'm going to have
read what I thought was the first half of this article before I put it into fun. And then I read the next half of this article when I first started down. And then I realized that I was only like a quarter of the way through the article, because this is an eternal article on, I think, this was, I'm sure I got, this Quantum magazine was where that article from, I think it was last week, about the sleep.
Right.
And so this is another Quantum magazine article. So this is, from where JR gave that link last week. But so this is about James Webb, the James Webb Space Telescope.
Mm-hmm.
And the title is the James Webb, the Webb Space Telescope will rewrite cosmic history if it works. Because this is a tremendously expensive, tremendously overdue project. It has been in the works, and I didn't pull out this date, so this is from my memory of this eternal article, but it's been in the works since like 95, the mid-90s. It was initially supposed to launch in something like 2007. I don't know if you've noticed, it's 2021. 2021 is almost ended. It is not set to now. It's set now to, I think it's set to launch. Oh no, when is it set to launch? I think next
December
year.
22nd.
Oh,
this says.
There we go. Okay, yeah. December 22nd.
I'm going to interrupt you. And I do like this quote about the takeoff. He said, the guy who's been leading it, I hope I'm not stealing your thunder that you're going to say this, but he says, now we're going to put our $1 zillion telescope on top of a stack of explosive material and turn things over to fate. I just like that quote.
That's right. No, so this is ambitious, does not begin to describe this project.
Mm-hmm.
But I love the ambition. Like these are the sorts of things that we can't do with, as a company. Like this is what we need NASA to do as a country, as a society, as a species. This is designed to go where the Hubble couldn't go. So basically, right. Actually this is later on in the article, and I'm not going to say the whole thing, but later on in the article, they talk about a researcher, I didn't pull this out, so I'm sorry, I can't remember their name, who chose to use his 100 hours of Hubble time to point at a dark spot in the sky and do nothing but like an extraordinarily long exposure of a place where there were no known stars, and was told that it was a waste of time, and that basically ridiculed. And yet after that deep, I think they called it deep field exposure was processed, it showed thousands of galaxies stretching back farther in time than, basically as far back in time as the Hubble Space Telescope, as far as the Hubble could resolve. They said something like 10 redshifts, which I think is like halving of the, I'm going to mess that up. But basically like Hubble can't resolve anything. There's galaxies going back to there was a graphic in here, but it was something like 500 million years after the Big Bang is how far back the Hubble was able to resolve. But the expectation is that the James Webb telescope will be able to resolve back to potentially as few as 50 million years after the Big Bang. So this is where I actually pulled out a couple of things. So how are they going to do this? Well, in order to detect light that has shifted so far into the infrared, you have to be cold, like the actual cold of deep space. So they're going to take and stick this telescope out at the L2 Lagrange point so that the Earth, Moon, and the Sun are all kind of behind it,
Right.
and then stick a shield up to protect it from the sun's rays to actually let it get down cold enough. But, so here's a couple quotes I pulled out. To look back in time at the cosmos's infancy and witness the first stars flicker on, you must first grind a mirror as big as a house. Its surface must be so smooth that if the mirror were the scale of a continent, it would feature no hill or valley greater than ankle height.
Wow.
Amazing. The catch is that a house-sized mirror is too large to fit in any rocket fairing. The mirror, then, must be able to fold up, and a mirror can only fold if it's segmented. If instead of a single uninterrupted surface, it's a honeycomb of mirrored segments, but in order to collectively create the sharp images, the mirror segments must be able to unfold and have basic motors. It says motors that can nudge each mirror segment by increments of half the width of a virus. Now, I don't actually know off the top of my head how big a virus is. I would prefer they actually gave something in like fractions of a millimeter, but still, okay. It's good. It's a good unit. It's a good unit. I'll allow it. And then it says, this is where, even in outer space, the Earth, Moon, and Sun all still heat the telescope too much for it to perceive the dim twinkle of the most distant structures, unless, that is, the telescope heads for a particular spot 4 times farther away from Earth than the Moon, called Lagrange Point 2. There, the Moon, Earth, and Sun all lie in the same direction, letting the telescope block out all 3 bodies at once by erecting a tennis court-sized sun shield. Shaded in this way, the telescope can finally enter a deep chill and at long last detect the feeble heat of the cosmic dawn. So the sun shield is both an infrared telescope's only hope and its Achilles heel. And then it goes on, because then it's like, you know, in order to do that, you basically have to unfold fabric. And how do you unfold fabric? And how do you pack fabric so that it can be unfolded? And because it's going out 4 times the distance of the moon. So it's not like remember when, and they had the whole thing in here where Hubble, when they first put Hubble up, they realized that they had a problem.
Give it glasses.
They gave it a contact lens. Yes.
Yeah.
And so we're not visiting this. If this gets out there and doesn't work, there is no do-overs, no mulligans. So, and actually, this article is eternal, and there's a bunch of great stuff in here. It goes, anyway, there's a bunch of stuff. Anyway, this is my fun article for the week. It's a good one. And
that's cool.
I am very hopeful for what we'll learn in another couple of years, assuming that it works.
Yeah.
So,
the big if, although I was going to say NASA's got a pretty good track record at things like this succeeding.
Don't jinx them. Don't jinx them.
But we just barely talked about Hubble. So
yeah, exactly. Is half of a virus, is that in millimeters or inches? It's all
okay.
Good. It's all good.
That is amazing.
All right. Should we call it a show?
Yeah. Have a good night, John.
All right, my friend. I'll talk to you later.
I will see you later. Bye.
Bye.